Hi, my name is Ruth Moto. For almost a decade now, I've been doing everything design, from fashion design, furniture design, and now interior design. I'm super excited to bring you on this journey, even as we dive into design conversation with Ruth. We'll look at everything from residential, building, construction, and commercial design. So jump right in. What makes a successful design? Of course, when we're going through the design process, there's a stage where we start to look at inspiration, where we look at amazing pictures of brilliant offices, and we're thinking this is exactly what my success can also look like. But it's very hard to attain that if we haven't set out the vision of what it is that we want to become when it comes to our workspace. But then also, it also depends with the type of industry and the type of sector that you are found in. For example, you can't necessarily say that you are an amazing hospital and you want to get a manufacturing type of design to go with the flow that you have. Therefore, for every organization, it's very important that you understand the type of sector you're in and what is the success criteria for your workspace design. Hello, my name is Ruth Moto, and welcome to Design Conversations with Ruth, Commercial Design. In this episode, we're going to explore different sectors and what their success criteria looks like. And to wrap it up, we're going to base this on the principles of design and how those marry in the comprehensive design at the end of the day. So, to begin with, we're going to look at different types of sectors, like I have said, and we're going to explore basically around 6 sectors. To start with, I'd like us to look at the creative and innovation sector, which is something that is fully coming up now, especially on our side of the world. When you're looking at creative sectors, you're looking at creative agencies, for example, you're looking at innovation hubs, you're basically looking at areas that are working in spaces, for example, of technology, artificial intelligence, or people who are trying to do something that is off the conventional way of work. For these ones, their criteria are basically around flexibility because things are constantly changing. So you need to be able to set up your work area in such a manner that you have a lot of flexibility. If something changes in the tech space, do we have the type of space that can easily adapt with whatever is changing? How does it look like when someone walks in? Is it a space that immediately just sparkles their creativity and allows them to dream of what could be better? Another area that we look at is the hospitality industry or sector. In the hospitality area, you're basically looking at hotels, lodges, or work areas that give a personalized service, if I can put it like that. So the criteria around this is you're looking at customer satisfaction and basically premium guest experiences. When people walk into your space, right? Like what makes them feel like, I've arrived, right? What makes them, whenever they're planning their holidays or planning their experience, have this space at the back of their head. So whenever you're looking at this, you're looking at a personalized experience. You want to tell your story as that organization and what makes you exceptional. The other sector is the healthcare. The healthcare's primary goal is to ensure that all the people that walk in are comfortable and they're safe. A lot of healthcare design is based on evidence. So basically evidence-based design. You want to look at what really works and has an impact, and that drives change. So no matter how amazing a hospital or a healthcare facility can look, if it doesn't provide that level of safety, if it doesn't provide that level of comfort, then it just doesn't work. The other sector is basically a government sector. A few years ago, I was called into an office, and I was asked to consult on basically how it could work better. And one of the things that I looked at is that this space had been in existence for almost 50 years. Government sectors are almost the opposite of what a creative or an innovation hub is, because they basically depend on, what word can I use? Longevity. So you'd find it's the same office that is being used over a period of years. So the things that you're looking into this space is that you're looking at regulations. What are the regulations that are followed when people come to work in this space? You're looking at security features. If I put a security feature, it doesn't mean that the type of documentation that is found in this space is well secured. You're also looking at the tenure of the people who work in this environment. You'd find that they have almost the same way of how they do things over a period of time. How can you then complement that type of operation with the type of design that is coming into the space? The other place which is almost similar to this is the education sector. This is something that is absolutely brilliant, right? Because it covers different ranges. So if you look at kindergarten, for example, you look at primary school, you look at secondary, or you look at tertiary. How can you design this space to ensure that you are fostering collaboration? And this is collaboration of different users in the space. It's collaboration amongst the students themselves. It's collaboration amongst the teachers and the students. It's collaboration among external people who come to impart knowledge on these children. Okay, not only children, but you know what I mean. And how do you basically use these attributes to make sure that at the end of the day, you're very successful in communicating that? And the last one, and not the least, is basically the corporate brands. Corporate brands vary, right? But most of them you find that they're international organizations, or they're franchisees, franchise. You get it. Or they're related. There are very few corporations that stand on their own. Most of the times they're related to another body which might be in a different country. And these ones are brand and vision driven. So you need to ensure that there's a brand manual that is there. This gives guidelines on how the operations in that organization work, but it also drives a common vision, so that when someone walks into the space and in a different space, there's a full level of similarity throughout the organization. So once you master all these traits that basically show the type of sector and what success looks like, it then can come down to, now let's bring in our own individualistic into the design process, and what will make us be identifiable as this office, this health sector, this school that exists in this particular region. And then to wrap this up, we then go to what we call principles of design, right? After you have looked at all these traits and said, yes, amazing, we understand our sector, we understand how we work, we understand what it's supposed to be, but are we following the principles of design that will bring this entire design in a cohesive manner? The principles, well, I'll just go through them, and you can dig into it as you're looking at your own organization. The principles will include something like balance. After we've put all our elements together, our furniture, our lighting, our standards, everything, does this area balance? Like, does it look like everything has its space? We have something like rhythm, right? When you walk, have you ever walked into a space, even before I even give you the gist around rhythm? Have you ever walked into a space and everything is just flat, and you're thinking like, they could have just like pushed that thing slightly up? Rhythm gives movement to the eye. You see maybe color, you see maybe plants, portraits, or you see maybe it's like a vision that has been placed on a wall. There's a number of things that are attached to that. There's also proportion and scale. For a healthcare, for example, facility, the way a district hospital would work would be very different with the way a university hospital would work. That's proportion and scale. And also you're looking at what type of arrangement have you created in a smaller space compared to a bigger space. What type of furniture have you placed in? What type of lighting have you placed in? How are things arranged? And do those match to whatever activity happens in that room? And then you have your focal point, which is basically emphasis. This is what drives you to know where you have reached. So if you go to a hotel, if you have no branding, no focal point, nothing that tells you that you've arrived, then there's something that is not balancing in your design. And to just wrap everything up, every design needs to be harmonized. After you understand everything around your sector and the things that you are doing, there needs to be a level of unity in all the elements that have come in. The one thing that I always say is that functionality is king. No matter how beautiful your space is and how you have made sure that your branding works, you have made sure that you have the right furniture, the people in the organization are what are going to drive what it is you are trying to achieve. Make sure the people who work in the organization are the first people to champion the design you have chosen. It should be simple and straightforward. And that is what design success looks like. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Design Conversation, and basically just the entire season, for sitting with me, for listening to me, for sending in your questions and basically your ideas and how you have enjoyed this season. I look forward to interacting with you and just basically you following on all the social media platforms. So find me on YouTube, Ruth Moto, on social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, that is Spaced by My Perfect Stitch. Please visit our website, www.myperfectstitch.co, and send in your questions around this. But I look forward to you calling me so that I can work with you on that workspace design. See you soon. Bye.